Turning now to campaign 2020 with 46 days until the election. President Trump is on the trail in Minnesota. These are live pictures of tonight's rally there. President Trump narrowly lost in Minnesota back in 2016, but the campaign sees it as a state he might peel away from his Democratic rival this election cycle. Joe Biden also took his campaign to Minnesota today, his first visit since being named the Democratic presidential nominee.
While there, Biden toured a Carpenters Union training center to continue his push for working class voters. Now, the latest CBS News Battleground Tracker poll shows Biden with a comfortable lead over President Trump there. The dueling campaign stops in Minnesota coincide with the state's first day of early in-person voting. And joining us now to talk campaign politics closer to home, the host of Facing South Florida, Jim DeFede. And Jim, President Trump announced the release of a massive aid package for Puerto Rico today. Take a listen to what he said.
Today, my administration is making the largest emergency relief award in history to rebuild Puerto Rico's electrical grid and educational system. We're awarding $13 billion to permanently repair and replace thousands of miles of transmission and distribution lines that should have been done many years ago.
All right, he went on to say he's done more for Puerto Rico than anybody. Is it a coincidence this kindness is 46 days before the election?
No, I don't think it's a coincidence. You know, the polls in Florida have Donald Trump just a couple of points down, so within the margin of error. So it's essentially a tied race here in Florida. And one of the keys to Donald Trump's success in Florida is going to be the Hispanic vote. Now, traditionally, you know, Democrats will win the Hispanic vote in Florida. For instance, you know, Barack Obama won it by 24 points in 2008. Hillary Clinton won it by 27 points in 2016. So Democrats will win. But the problem is that for Joe Biden is that he's right now, polling shows, only winning Hispanics in the state of Florida by 16 points. That sounds like a nice lead, but he needs to do better if he has a chance of wanting to win Florida. The president recognizes that and has been really fighting for Hispanic votes in Florida on two fronts. One, coming off into South Florida and really driving home the message about socialism, that the Democratic Party is now controlled by socialists. He knows that's a trigger word that has real resonance for folks in South Florida, not just Cuban Americans, but folks from Venezuela, El Salvador, Nicaragua, you know, and now in Central Florida, which has a very large Puerto Rican community, he's now appealing this. My guess, though, is that this may be a little too late to help out with the Puerto Rican vote because, you know, his history with Puerto Rico has not been a good one following the storms there.
Jim, obviously campaigns, very expensive endeavors, and the Biden campaign got a nice infusion from Michael Bloomberg, the former mayor of New York, $100 million. What's the plan for spending that money, and do we anticipate much of it, or some of it at least, will be spent here in Florida?
Oh yeah, no, a lot of it will be. It's actually 100 million just for Florida. It's the entire 100 million is dedicated to winning the state of Florida, and it allows the Biden campaign to free up money that they would have spent here to spend it into the Midwest and other battleground states. So the plan, as I've been talking to my sources within the Bloomberg folks, is that they're drawing it up now, but they've already spent $5 million, a little over $5 million this week on TV ads. You can expect to see a lot more TV advertising, but the whole $100 million won't be spent on TV. I think you'll see it in other ways as well. I think that they're going to give to various committees that can help with some of the down ballot races. I expect some of that money to eventually filter into some of the congressional races to help Democrats in the state, also some of the state Senate races. But one of the things too that they can spend that money on that's needed, that the Democrats have been behind on, is building out an organization to turn out voters, to phone bank. You know, you don't have the door knocking that you used to have in campaigns, so you really are relying on other means of trying to get voters out to the polls, and this money can help build out that organization in these final weeks. Again, it's a little late to try to do that, but there is still some time.
Well, Jim, so close to the election, as you say, so many people have already made up their minds. But what about this whole issue about when we're going to get a vaccine? And the president is saying that, you know, it could come in October. By the end of the year, it'll be rolled out immediately. Do you think that's something that will have an effect on voters at this point?
You know, it's an interesting double-edged sword for the president. The president has been promoting the idea that he can bring a vaccine, you know, the realization is that even if a vaccine is announced, it's not going to be able to be distributed, you know, probably not until the beginning of next year in any sort of widespread sort of plan. The danger for President Trump here is that so many of the health officials have come out and sort of said that he's playing politics with this, that it sort of undermines the message he's trying to send. You know, there's a real fear that by politicizing a vaccine, you may end up harming more people in the long run who are suspicious of taking it, wondering if in fact it was pushed forward to try to benefit Trump's reelection as opposed to doing best for the American people. So I think people are actually watching this very closely. I think it affects a lot of people, and I'm not sure that it helps the president as much as he thinks it does, especially with some of this backlash that has come around as a result.
It certainly has become a big issue. Jim, thank you very much. Don't forget, you can watch Facing South Florida with Jim DeFede Sunday mornings at 8:30 a.m. only right here on CBS4.